Hey there, guys. I'm Janine, 24, female. I've got this wild story to share about how my life went from keeping quiet and letting people walk all over me to finding the courage to stand up for myself. Alexa, play Roar by Katy Perry. Like I mentioned earlier, I used to be that girl who was conditioned into being a total doormat. You know, always second guessing myself, never speaking up, letting folks bulldoze right over me. But hey, I'm pretty sure a lot of us girls go through that stuff growing up, right? So let me take you back to the time when I met my ex-husband. This guy, Ashley, he was this towering 6'3" dude with a full beard. And yes, the irony isn't lost on me that such a man could be named Ashley, LOL. Guess his parents were expecting something different. Anyhow, this guy was an absolute beast. Couldn't let anybody even look at him the wrong way, but that's what drew me to him in the first place. He was assertive, dominant, and just oozed confidence. I mean, he was the complete opposite of little old me, which made me swoon. I fell head over heels for him because he represented everything I wasn't. Strong, decisive, and not afraid to speak his mind. I let him make decisions about everything, and I was cool with that. He was also a bit older and more experienced, and I trusted his judgment. My job, I thought, was just to sit there and look pretty. Life seemed pretty peachy like that. Fast forward to a few weeks after our third anniversary, and things started going south. Ashley, who used to be this confident and assertive guy I admired, started getting more and more rude. I don't know, you all. He was kind of cocky and snarky and passive-aggressive. It was as if he was constantly looking down on me. He basically did a complete 180 on me, and I couldn't wrap my head around it. What happened to the guy I fell in love with? I remember this one time when I properly started connecting the dots. Janine, we really need to talk about these household expenses. I mean, it's like you're still spending money like a kid in a candy store. Well, I thought we discussed the budget and I've been trying to stick to it. Trying, huh? It's not rocket science, Janine. It's basic stuff, really. I thought I was doing okay. What do you mean? Janine, sweetie, I thought that handling the household expenses was something you were capable of. But I guess I was wrong. Looks like I'll just have to deal with that too. Excuse me? I mean, you're just not that good with money. It's actually quite sad. Come on, Ash. You know I'm trying my best. I can learn. Learn? Janine, it's just that some people are better at this stuff than others. Don't stress yourself out too much. I can clearly see that you can't handle it. Well, I don't want you to think I'm a burden or anything. Oh, Janine, I don't think you're a burden. I just think you're, well, a bit more vulnerable when it comes to handling these things. Look, Ashley, I'm not stupid. I can learn, and I don't need you talking down to me like I'm some child. Hey, I'm not saying you're stupid, and I'm not saying you're a child, but let's be honest. Some things just aren't for everyone, and maybe handling money is just one of those things for you. Ashley, I don't want to keep arguing about this. Just trust me and let me handle the household expenses, okay? All right, Janine, if you say so. But it's just that sometimes you make it seem like you can't handle even the simplest things, you know? Fine, whatever, Ashley. Now, I ain't gonna lie, it wasn't easy for me to accept the fact that my once dreamy guy was becoming a bit of a jerk. But here's the twist in the story, folks. It was also a turning point for me. A wake-up call, if you will. I stumbled upon a flyer at my gym one day advertising these boxing classes, and you know what I thought? Why not? I mean, what did I have to lose, right? I needed a change, and I needed something to distract me from my crappy husband, and this seemed like the perfect way to step out of my comfort zone. And guess what? I started enjoying those classes like nothing else. My trainer was like a real-life Rocky Balboa, always cheering me on and telling me how proud he was of me. He'd say stuff like, Janine, you're capable of anything you set your mind to. Man, that felt empowering. It was like a switch flipped in my head. I realized that I didn't have to be a doormat to earn respect, just like Ashley. So I began to embrace this newfound confidence little by little. But here's where the drama really kicks in. Ashley started to notice the change in me, and it seemed like he wasn't too thrilled about it. It's like he didn't want me to be anything other than what he expected. He started doubling down on his aggressiveness and rudeness, which would often reduce me to tears. But here's the thing, instead of breaking me, it only pushed me further away. I'd spend most of my time at those boxing lessons, improving myself and shedding the self-doubt that I'd carried for way too long. So fast forward a couple of months and Ashley and I were basically living like two strangers in our own house. I mean, it got so bad that Ashley was trying to shut me out completely. He'd make food just for himself, not even bothering to acknowledge my existence. It was like I was invisible, or worse, an unwanted guest in my own home. Now here's the kicker, folks. When I decided to give him a taste of his own medicine, boy, did he flip out. If I did the same, suddenly he was all about yelling at me for no good reason. It was like living in a never-ending episode of a reality TV show. I'll admit, because I'm sensitive at heart, there were a couple of times when Ashley succeeded in his sick and sadistic plan to make me upset. I'd cry or just hop in the car and drive off to cool down somewhere. But more often than not, I stood my ground, which was surprising to both him and me. I wasn't going to be pushed around anymore. Then, one day, Ashley was at it again, being all shouty and judgy for absolutely no reason. And I don't know if I had just woken up on the wrong side of the bed that day or if my period was about to cut on, but that's when I just snapped. I let out all the feelings I'd been holding inside for so long. And man, it felt good. "Janine, what the hell is wrong with you? I can't take this crap anymore." "What's wrong?" "You left a dish and a fork in the sink, and the TV is on when you leave to use the bathroom. You just know how much I hate that crap." "Seriously? It's just one dish, and I was coming right back to watch TV. Relax, it's not a big deal." "Not a big deal? You're so irresponsible. You can't even clean up after yourself." "Don't yell at me. This is the first time I've heard of you having issues with a single dish in the sink and me leaving the TV on. Why are you yelling at me like I'm a kid?" Gee, let's see. Maybe it's because you act like a kid. I mean, seriously, who raised you? Watch it. Look at the big scary Janine. You think you're so tough because you take boxing classes? You're pathetic. And you're irresponsible. "Oh, really, Ashley? You want to talk about responsibility? Look at you, yelling over a single dish. You're such a whiny little brat." "Excuse me?" "You heard me. You're so freaking exhausting. Every single day with you feels worse than those medieval torture devices. Why do you insist on making my life a living hell every single day? You keep yapping like a mutt or like some stuck-up rich kid. Get a grip, man. Aren't you embarrassed of yourself? You're a freaking loser and a jerk if you think you can keep bullying your wife. And you have the nerve to call me pathetic? Me? Have you seen yourself?" And for once, you all, I saw this man looking perplexed. He looked like he was short-circuiting. It was crazy, you all. "That's right, Ashley. I said it. You're acting like a jerk, and it's high time someone called you out on it. If you have nothing nice to say to me, then maybe you should just go back to ignoring me. At least there was some peace and quiet in the house then." He was too stunned to speak, and I guess in some manipulative way to get back at me, punish me, he decided to go on his longest silent treatment spree, which lasted a whopping 3 weeks. Can you believe it? It was like living with a ghost in my own house. At first, I was kind of okay with the whole not talking to each other thing, like I said when we were arguing. It gave me some peace and space to thank God. But then it came time to discuss the practical stuff like household matters, you know, paying the bills, buying groceries, and all that grown-up stuff that you do when you decide to get married to someone. So, like the big girl I am, I put my pride aside and decided it was time to break the silence and talk to Ashley. But guess what? He was still being super petty. He just wouldn't say a word. It wasn't until the third week of this nonsense that he finally decided to speak up, and oh boy, when he did, it was a bombshell. He told me that his parents were coming to stay with us for about a month. Apparently, their house was undergoing some treatments by pest control and exterminators. Why? 'Cause they had a full-blown roach infestation, so they decided to put up with Ashley and me for a while. Let me tell you, my stomach did a somersault. Now, you might be thinking, Janine, what's the big deal? In-laws visiting, no problem. But hold on a second, 'cause here's the kicker. My relationship with my in-laws hasn't exactly been sunshine and rainbows. All of it goes back to some drama that went down during Ashley and my wedding. So just to give you a brief rundown on what happened on my not-so-special day, I was all dolled up in my beautiful wedding dress and everything was just perfect. Until, well, Jasper, my father-in-law, decided to do something pretty spectacular. He, ruined my wedding dress. Yep, you heard that right. He wasn't paying attention to where he was going, despite being told many, many times to sit down. I think he was already tipsy at that point, and he managed to step right on the train of my gown and spill his whole wine glass on me. You can probably guess what happened next. I burst into tears, completely distraught, my makeup smudging and looking like a hot mess. I didn't know what to do. Now, you'd think that on a day like that, anyone would cut you some slack, right? Well, not my mother-in-law, Natalie. Oh, no, she decided that my tears and the attention I was drawing to myself were completely unnecessary. Like, are you kidding me, lady? So she started shouting at me, which made me cry even harder. Can you imagine? I looked like a mess on my own wedding day. It was awful. We had to delay everything while someone ran to grab a simple wedding dress for me, and we had to get the makeup artist to redo my makeup. Yes, we had to pay double. So instead of being this beautiful and joyous occasion, it turned into a total disaster. Guests were disgruntled, I was depressed, and my in-laws were fuming for whatever reason. Ever since that fateful day, I've tried my best to steer clear of my in-laws. I mean, who wouldn't? I never got an apology for the way I was treated on my special day. It still stings, you know. And when I look back on it, I can't help but realize that Ashley didn't really do much to stand up for me in that situation, despite all the dominant, protective, and macho man claims he used to make. So when he told me that those two demons would be staying with us for a whole month, I almost started hyperventilating. There was no telling what those two were going to do. And with the presence of Ashley as well, it looked like I was going to be thrown into a lion's den. I knew that I had to do something to make sure I was going to be okay in the end. The day the in-laws were set to arrive had finally come, and you can bet I was nervous as all heck. I mean, who wouldn't be? And of course, as soon as they got there, it was like a hurricane of criticism. Natalie, with her eagle eyes, started criticizing everything she laid her eyes on in the house. From the curtains to the carpet, nothing was spared. Jasper, on the other hand, couldn't resist making snarky, rude comments. He even went as far as reminding me of my traumatizing wedding day. Real classy, right? But wait, there's more. Ashley, my darling husband, decided to join the party too. He'd often egg his parents on and laugh along with their rude jokes and comments. I mean, really, it was like a circus of rudeness, and it was slowly chipping away at me. Even though I was becoming a stronger person and standing up for myself, those words were cutting pretty deep. It's like they knew my vulnerabilities and were poking at them on purpose. This nonsense went on for about a week, and by that point I was already exhausted. I was being forced to cook and clean for everybody, and it seemed like everyone around me was leaving a mess on purpose. It was like they were trying to humiliate me, making me clean up after them as if I was some sort of Cinderella. Well, Janine, I must say, your decorating choices in this house are unique. Yeah, you said that when you first came here, Natalie. Thanks once again. I think our home has character. Character, eh? More like a cry for help. Dad, that's a good one. And Janine, remember that wedding dress incident? Such a drama queen crying over a little issue. How sad. Can we not bring that up? It's in the past. Why are we even talking about it? Oh, hush, it's called reminiscing. Why do you have such a stick up your... I don't have a stick up anything. Oh, well, maybe you need something because clearly you're stressed. Ash seems like you aren't treating your lady right. Well, how could I, Pa? I mean, look at her. She really let herself go, and she's only 24. Careful now, or people will think that you abused her and let her get like this. Huh. She's been doing that all by herself. I told you how she's been ignoring me, right? Just sulking all over the house, getting wrinkles and frown lines like Great Aunt Maggie. No, really? That's not true, Ashley, and you know it. Don't say it like I've been doing this on purpose. You're the one who's been treating me like scum. Even if that were true, you think the solution is to shut me out? What are you talking about? You're the one shutting me out. All of you are just mean and crazy. You always bring up crap that hurts me. Oh my goodness, are we back at the wedding thing? I told you we were joking. You need to lighten up. Jeez. Yeah, Janine, lighten up. Seriously, Janine, that was hilarious. How could you not laugh? You guys are acting like high school bullies. It's pathetic. Oh, listen to her playing the victim as always. Victim? More like a loser. Yeah, a loser who can't even handle a little teasing. Ashley, how have you survived this long? By the grace of God, Dad. It's all through the grace of God. That's enough. I can't take this any more. I went upstairs and decided to lock myself in my bedroom to cry for a bit. So after I locked myself in that room and had a good cry, I started tossing things around in frustration. It was like I'd reached my breaking point and I couldn't take it anymore. And then I had this moment of clarity. I thought, you know what, Janine? You'd rather spend money on a motel than live in this nightmare any longer. So I started rummaging through my drawers, getting clothes and looking for other things I might need while I was away. And guess what I found? The deed to the house. You see, the house we were living in, it belonged to my father. Hence all the unsolicited opinions about the decor from those evil people downstairs. The house was originally mine, but he decided to give it to us as a wedding gift. It had remained in my name for the longest time, even after the wedding. We always meant to get it changed to include Ashley's name on it, but well, we never got around to it. You know how that honeymoon phase can make you feel all delusional and delirious, right? Just leaving well enough alone and enjoying your life, because even though the house was technically mine, we certainly didn't feel that way. And we didn't see any rush in getting the deed updated. A stupid overlook on our part, but perhaps it was a blessing in disguise. I had an idea. I decided to come back downstairs and face my attackers, and when they saw me heading back, they started in with their jokes again. But this time, I wasn't having any of it, and that's when Natalie told me, Janine, since you've been away, we've been thinking we kind of like it when you're not around. You just have this negative energy about you that makes everyone sick. I'm so sorry to say it, but I think it's time for you to leave. What? Your negativity is affecting everyone and everything here. We want to play happy family with our son, and we haven't seen him in ages, and you're keeping Ashley away from us. Yeah, I second that. You're ruining everything. Yeah, it's getting pretty bad. Sorry, guys, what can I say? I'm living in hell. Then they all burst into laughter like a gaggle of schoolgirls. Ugh. But little did they know I had a trick up my sleeve. You know, there's no point in voting on whether to kick me out of this house because you guys have no say here. What do you mean? I showed them the deed which I had been holding behind her back the entire time. I mean, it's my name on the title deed. This house is mine, so I can do whatever the hell I want. Oh, for crying out loud. Really, Ashley? You didn't get the deed updated? Well, we were going to. Save it. You're just as pathetic as she is. At least she's smart. Shut up, Jasper. All right, Toots. What do you want? You want us to stop joking with you? Fine. Actually, I would like for all of you to get the frick out of my house. You can play happy family with your son on the street. Natalie, Jasper, and Ashley looked seriously worried when they realized I wasn't joking about kicking them out of the house. Panic started to set in. And good Lord, did it feel good to see the looks of complete fear on their faces. Ashley seemed desperate. His eyes were darting around and looking at his mommy and daddy for reassurance, as if they could magically change the situation. Jasper attempted some damage control, somewhat apologizing and suggesting that maybe they had taken things too far, and saying that from now on they wouldn't tease me. But it was too little too freaking late. He was clearly trying to mend the situation because they were practically homeless, not because he had a single remorseful bone in his body. Natalie, on the other hand, was eerily quiet for once, too embarrassed to open her mouth about being caught off guard, I guess. Checkmate. She started blubbering out some excuses, saying they were a bit stressed and tired, so perhaps they took things too far. But I wasn't in the mood for excuses. I told them they had 20 minutes to pack up their things and leave. I even added that I'd send some of Ashley's stuff to his new address, assuming they could find one. Ashley started pleading with me, telling me that I was being ridiculous for doing this, but when he saw I wasn't budging, he was getting even angrier, saying that he wasn't going anywhere. And that's when I threatened to involve the cops, and that's when everyone knew for sure that I was being serious. And then Natalie, could you believe it, started calling me evil and demonic for wanting to kick them with no place to go. Oh, so when she was kicking me out, where did she think I was going to go? The cognitive dissonance on these people is crazy. I shouted back, calling her disgusting and cursing like there was no tomorrow, which made everybody blush. But I didn't care. These people had the gall to disrespect me in my father's house, and I wasn't having any of it. Eventually, I watched from the window as they awkwardly stood in the driveway, calling an Uber to take them who knows where. And you know what? It felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. When I got bored of seeing them looking pathetic and cold outside, I went on the internet and started searching for divorce lawyers in my area.